Hey guys, welcome to Chapter 1, Section 2. This is Introduction to WordPress and Content Management. And in this section, I'm going to mostly be going over what WordPress is, what it needs to run, and I also want to go over structured hosting versus hosted. So what is WordPress? WordPress is a free open source blogging platform / CMS that runs on PHP and MySQL. And I say blogging platform / CMS because it's an all-out blog tool, but it's also a website content management system. If you look at a straight content management system like Joomla or Drupal, they allow you to create pages for your websites and link those pages to menus, and you can also install third-party extensions to extend the functionality. WordPress does absolutely all of that. So it's a full CMS and a full-featured CMS and blogging platform. Now it runs on PHP, which is a server-side language, server-side scripting language, and MySQL is a relational database system. So all your posts, categories, pages, images, everything's stored in a MySQL database. WordPress was released in 2003, and there are hosted and self-hosted versions of WordPress available. And I'm going to go over both of those, and I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each. But from this point on, the series is going to be focused on the self-hosted version, the version that we actually download and then install on our own server. WordPress is the most comprehensive and flexible blogging platform to date. It's used in 48% of the top 100 blogs in the world, and there's over 70 million websites that use WordPress. These may or may not be blogging sites. They may just use the CMS, but there's 70 million WordPress sites out there, which is pretty impressive. Alright, so the minimum specifications. Ideally, you want a Linux Apache web server, and I mean, WordPress will run on Windows IIS server, but it's not recommended. I've had issues with it, and a lot of people have had issues with it. So it's really recommended that you have a Linux server. And most of the big hosting companies like GoDaddy, HostGator, Bluehost, JustHost, they're all Linux servers, unless you specifically ask for a Windows server. But all the big companies usually use Linux. It's just better all around for open source applications. You could also use an NGINX server, which I don't have experience with, so I can't really shed any light on that. But supposedly it runs fine on that. XAMPP, WAMP, and MAMP, which are all Apache servers that can run on local machines. That's what we'll be using. We're going to be using an XAMPP installation. XAMPP comes with an Apache server, PHP, and MySQL. So our WordPress site that we build won't be live on the web, but it'll be absolutely functional locally, and that's all we need. Let's see, so PHP, we need version 5.2.4 or higher. MySQL should be 5.0.15 or higher. And Apache mod rewrite module should be enabled. And if you're using, like I said, one of those big hosting companies, most of them have mod rewrite enabled, so you don't have to worry about that. So basically, WordPress runs great on the default of most hosting companies. Okay, so you should be fine. Alright, so now I want to go over hosted and self-hosted blogging. Now, first we're going to go over hosted, and what that means is that your blog, your entire site or blog, is hosted, is kept on WordPress.com servers. Alright, so you don't have access to your coding files. You can go to your blog blog.wordpress.com and log in and create posts, and they'll be live on the web. But it's housed on their server. And let's go over some of the pros and cons of this. The first pro is that it's 100% free. You don't need to buy hosting or a domain. If you're going to use the WordPress.org self-hosted solution, you need to find a hosting company and you need to buy a domain name and set it up. Okay, so it's not too much more money to go with the self-hosted version, but this WordPress.com hosted solution is 100% free. Okay, and it's easier. There's no messing with databases, files, or installations. Alright, so if you're a non-tech savvy user, which I doubt you are because you're watching this video right now, then WordPress.com would be good for you, for a non-tech savvy person, because they just have to log in and just write blog posts. Upgrades are automatically done for you. That's a huge pro, I think, in my opinion, because sometimes updates can get messy when you do them on your own, but what are you going to do? I mean, I personally would suggest the self-hosted, but to each his own. Okay, backups are made for you. That's another good one. That's another big plus, is that your entire site is automatically backed up for a certain amount of time. Alright, so cons. There's no custom themes. You have to use a pre-made theme. You have to search for a theme you like and use that. You can't create your own HTML theme and implement it like you could if it was a WordPress.org self-hosted solution. Looks slightly less professional. If you use yourblog.wordpress.com for your blog address, that can look a little unprofessional. I guess it's a matter of opinion, but you know, it always looks better to have your own domain name and to just have full access to your files. You cannot edit any PHP files, so you can't extend functionality of the core system. You can't touch that. All right. And you cannot upload plugins, which is a big negative, because WordPress.org has so many cool plugins to do so many cool things, and you just can't do that if you're using the hosted solution. Alright, so let's go to the self-hosted blogging, which is WordPress.org. And if you're going to use, like we are, the self-hosted solution, you go to WordPress.org and download the package, and then you upload it to your host or to your XAMPP server like we'll be doing. The pros is it looks more professional, especially if it is a blog for your business. It's much better to have your business.com/blog than to have blog.wordpress.com. You can install thousands of different plugins and thousands of themes, which is definitely a plus. So you can really customize your site more so than if it was a hosted solution. Your site is more unique. It's more unique because you can customize it more. You can create your own theme. You can use your company branding and create a whole custom theme. Granted, you'll need to either have some web design knowledge or you'll have to hire a designer or developer, but nevertheless your site will be more unique. A self-hosted WordPress website is an actual site, not just a blog. So this means that you'll have an About Us page, contact information, and all that stuff. So you'll have it'll be a full-fledged website, not just a WordPress blog. The cons, the first con is that it's easier. It's harder to set up and run, which is very true. You have to download the package. You have to edit a config file. You have to create a database. It might sound overwhelming, but that stuff's really pretty easy, as you'll find out in the section after the next. You need to pay for you have to pay for and look for a good web hosting provider, which isn't that big of a con. There's plenty of great hosting providers out there. HostGator, Bluehost, JustHost, those hosting companies are pretty good if you have a small to medium site. When you start getting into the using a lot of resources, then you might look into getting a dedicated server. But for the most part, if you just have a medium or small blog, then any of those guys will be fine. Backups you need to do on your own, which it is a con, but there are a lot of plugins out there that will allow you to install it, and then you can create a backup in 1 or 2 clicks. So not a big deal. And lastly, you need to manually upgrade when a new version is released. So that can get a little, as long as you stay on top of your updates, then you should be all right. If you miss 5 updates in a row and then you try to go from version A to version F, then you might have some problems. So you just need to stay on top of the updates and you should be fine. Alright, so the content management system is it's woven into WordPress. It's a full-featured CMS, just like Joomla or Drupal or Typo3 or PHP Nuke, any of those systems. It can definitely run with those. Ability to create menus with pages on top of posts, so about us, services, pages like that, that aren't blog based. That's definitely possible with the content management system. Contact forms, you can create contact forms. There's a lot of different plugins you can use to have specialized forms with special layouts, so that's pretty cool. And then of course there's thousands of plugins available at WordPress.org to extend functionality. So if you want an image gallery, if you want a jQuery slider, if you want social network functionality, if you want e-commerce, a WordPress shopping cart is very possible and pretty easy to set up. So the content management system is very powerful. So we're going to be dealing with the self-hosted version of WordPress, and this is just the basic installation, and we'll be going through this I believe in the chapter 2 section 1. We're going to download XAMPP, which is it's an Apache server that will just run on our local machine, so we don't have to keep uploading our files to a web host. And we'll create a MySQL database, which is really easy to do. Well, of course, we'll need to download the zip package from WordPress.org, and then we'll unzip those to our website files. And then you need to edit the wp_config file and just add your database credentials for the database that we created in step 1. And then you just go to your domain. We're going to be using XAMPP, so we'll be going to localhost / whatever we choose, and that'll bring us right to the WordPress installer, and it'll get it all set up for us, and then we can log in and start blogging or start configuring it or whatever we're going to do. So that's it for this section. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have at least a basic knowledge or understanding of WordPress and what it is and the difference between self-hosted and hosted. But you'll learn more as we go. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next section.